Hey everyone, welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix Critical Mode Any Percent Speedrun tutorial. In this episode, we're actually going to be covering both the Disney Castle portion as well as the Timeless River segment that follows directly after. So let's get right into it. Immediately following where we left off from Beast Castle, we're going to do a little bit of the world warping that I showed off. I think in the Hollow Bastion 1 video was the first case where that was used. So basically I lock on immediately, which is going to give me the Beast Castle lock on, and do two movements, which it brings me to Hollow Bastion. I'm going to teleport there and do another movement that teleports me to Disney Castle. So let's see that in action. Boom, 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 teleport, and we're in. Immediately start off going into Valor form, just get a little movement. In this save that I have level 3, so I'm already up to level 2 high jump, so I can just make the jump on top of this bush without it. But if you don't have that, you will have to use the little attack, which I tried to show off and kind of fake like I didn't have the level up. But basically we're just running along over to go talk to Minnie, and I'm going to show you how to do the Minnie Push, which is a pretty notorious strat in this run. It's really cool that it works, but it's finicky and it's going to take a lot of practice. So what you want to do immediately at the start, when you enter through the doorway, we're going to start off by heading directly, or not directly, I'd say it's at like 10, 11 o'clock, holding that way on the joystick. Basically, we're heading towards this post right here, if you can see. And around this point, get there, I'm going to wave Minnie over and then start running along the wall so that she gets past these shadows and follows me. This shadow can occasionally be an absolute champion and attack Minnie without that's totally out of your control, nothing you can do about it. And if that's the case, you just got to run back and use the RC and then just kind of proceed with the strat as I'm about to explain to you, only from a little further back. But in this case, I'm going to show that she doesn't get hit, and we're going to keep running along. And at about the time that I think she's going to stop, first I want to make sure I spawn these enemies. So I'm going to run far enough along that these enemies spawn, and then when that happens, I'm going to turn around and come do the RC with Minnie. I also like to run to the outside of her a little bit so I can push her a little bit more into the wall. Just helps with positioning for when we actually start the push part. So getting about here and then using the RC. And a lot of times I like to take immediately after this RC, Minnie can't be moved for just like a fraction of a second. I like to take a step backwards and then start running into her in order to start the movement. So let's see what that looks like. And what you're gonna see me do is I'm kind of jiggling the joystick back and forth. So I'm pushing her forward, but I kind of let myself veer to the right and then go back into the left, and veer to the right and go back into the left. If you just keep running straight at her, eventually Sora's going to kind of run through her and she's going to get off to the right of you. So you need to do this little movement jiggle in order to keep her in front of you. And like I said before, this will take tons of practice. This is not a simple strat to pull off. It is faster than just doing it normally. So I think if you want to take this seriously, it's worth spending some time getting this shit figured out. But it's finicky, again, as I said. So we're going to keep pushing her until she gets ready to pearl. We'll do the next RC right when she pearls. And that's going to happen about when you get to the point where the next wave of enemies spawn. So we're going to run for a little bit with her. And these enemies spawn, and she's going to get ready to do the pearl. And the moment I see her do the pearl, I'm going to use the RC. When she does the pearl, she does a little hand wave movement with it. And it essentially gives her a little bit of forward momentum that's enough for her to fall out of the way from where you're trying to push her. And by doing the RC immediately here, it's going to stop her from, it's going to cancel her attack and stop her from moving out of the way, knock all the enemies away that just spawned, and then get you in a position to hopefully get ready to push her again. So knock them all away. But because she activated the pearl, and it's very important you wait until you see her activate the pearl. Because she did that, she's not going to immediately do it again when these enemies spawn. If you do it before she pearls, she's going to do it immediately when they spawn, and you're going to have a hard time getting her back into the push position again. So again, take a little step back, kind of jiggling the controller a little bit to keep it in front. And to finish it off, we just push her past into the light area, and that's about the threshold of when the Faith RC turns into the finish to complete the push. Sometimes this bolt tower is a dick and blocks your path. If that happens, you're probably just going to have to use the RC an extra time. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. One final thing I'll say when you're finishing off here is you see this little ridge where the entrance to the castle room area kind of juts out. That part is going to cause Minnie to push outwards, and you're going to potentially get behind her. So as I'm finishing off, you're going to see me kind of run a little bit extra to the right in order to ensure that I stay behind her.
Let's go.
Did you see how she moved right there at the end? As she gets to this threshold, see, I start moving over to the right, and she gets pushed in front of me by this part. The arena juts out a little bit right there, and I move out to the side to prepare for that, to finish the push all the way through. Turns to finish, and I finish it off. That's the Minnie Push. It's tricky. It's gonna take a lot of practice, as I said, and it's a very funny, silly thing to see. Like, I feel like this always gets a little bit of a laugh whenever you're doing it. But with that, we'll move into the actual escort part, where we're gonna be using the this way call over RC in the big room of bolt towers. So something that's a little more unique about crit with this, in the other difficulties, you can basically just run down the middle and try to get to the end as fast as possible. In crit, we have an EXP threshold we need to hit, and that threshold is 526 to the next level. I want to say that the next level is 12. I think we're about to hit, maybe we're about to hit 12 here. Regardless, there's a level up we'll hit, and then afterwards you want to be 526 to the next level, and you want to make sure that you hit that number before you continue. If that means you got to go out of the way to kill a few extra bolt towers, so be it. You got to do it. So we're going to immediately start off by using the RC, knock these guys away, and then I'm just going to head in this direction and basically just try to keep as many bolt towers in front of me as possible. It takes 3 RCs to kill them, so I'm just doing my best to get as many as possible while I'm doing this. Also worth noting, I don't have a specific visual cue. It's just more of a feel thing. I give myself about that much distance between myself and Minnie when I call her over. Sora's locked in the animation for a little bit, so that gives Minnie some time to get closer to me, and then I'll start walking as she catches up. So keeping about this much spacing so that she never stops, but also continues to follow me. I also just kind of have a general feel for how far she can possibly run. I can't really give you a timing or for how long that is. That's just kind of a feel you're going to pick up as you continue doing this. But basically, I keep running. When I feel like it's about time for her to stop, I'll run back to her, use the RC, knock the bolt towers away.
Let's go.
Again. And then I see these guys kind of get pushed in the corner there, so I kind of want to make sure I'm heading that way a little bit to hopefully hit them. So I'm 25 to the first level up threshold.
Let's go.
And let's see where I'm at after this. Okay, so yeah, you want to hit level 12 and then be 526 to the next level. Each bolt tower gives 45 experience, if I'm not mistaken. It's about 45. So I know at this point I'll need a little over, or I'll probably need to kill 3 more in order to get to the right point. So I'm just going to be continuing on, making sure I do that, looking where the best bunches of towers are. If I can get myself back to the middle, I will. Looks like they get 46 experience. A little bit better. We get a guy like this that the community likes to call alpha bolt towers, where they don't get hit by your RC, but they immediately come to attack you when you get close to them. Just perfectly nice distance, forcing you to do an extra RC that you don't want to do, losing some time. So this guy's a dick. I realize I gotta go use the RC to knock him away and avoid the damage, because you have iframes during the RC, as you do with all RCs. Almost all RCs.
Let's go.
And 481 to the next level, so I know I can finish. And that's the Disney Castle visit. So we're going to do some quick story-based movement here. Head over, do a world warp, get over to Hollow Bastion. Do a little bit of fancy gummy movement, hopping over there. Then get sent back to Disney Castle, and we're going to head over to Timeless River. Don't talk to Merlin. So, start opening this world. We're going to do an immediate menu. You're going to go into your items menu and put on the Sardonyx ring that you bought in Beast Castle. And make sure you put it on in the open spot and don't put it on over the metal. We still want the metal there, so put it in this slot. Sardonyx ring equipped. And right when we go into here, we're going to go into Valor form to go kill Past Pete. Past Pete, very easy fight. We're just going to do 4 Valor hits followed by 3 Valor hits and a finisher. So, bomb. Bomb, 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 boom, bomb, boom. Dead. Very difficult. In this save that I'm now showing, actually, let me make sure that... Okay, yeah, so in this save, I have the level up. You won't always have this level, the Valor level up. It's not a big deal if you don't. It's just, it's a little bit of small movement time loss later on in the world, but nothing you should really concern yourself about. But if you get it, yay. That's basically all I have to say about that. We're now going to get into Windows, and Windows is tricky. The windows that I'm about to show you are pretty dang strong. So they're a good thing for what you want to try to follow, and I'm going to give you positioning tips to hopefully help you do that. But they're very finicky mob fights. You got to rely on Chicken Little. You got to be very precise with your spacing and your timing. This string of fights is definitely one I come back to all the time to practice. But for each one, except for window 4, we're going to start the fight immediately by summoning Chicken Little, excuse me. You see me switch the command menu over to the summon side, so I'm immediately ready to do that. And in crit, we do the windows left to right, so 1, 2, 3, 4 in order, and going immediately into window 1. We're going to start this fight off by immediately holding backwards and then summoning Chicken Little. So we're going to be running backwards, summon Chicken Little as fast as possible. And then I'm going to continue running into the corner. Chicken Little is going to whistle these 4 hammer frames in. I'm going to do 2 fires followed by 2 thunder finishers. On the final thunder finisher, they're going to get knocked up into the air. And this next sequence is very specific and unfortunately is not perfectly demonstrated in this video. When these guys land, I'm going to chill for a second and then I'm going to do another fire. Most of the time, if all of Chicken Little's firecrackers hit, it's only going to take 1 fire to kill these guys, but sometimes it takes 2. In this case, for whatever reason, I thought it was going to take 2 to kill him, so I mashed out a second fire. But you don't want to do that if it does kill. It's dangerous. Chicken Little might whistle in the minute bombs that come next, and then they might go into their RC that can one-shot you. But that point aside, I'm waiting for them to land. They start to get back up. I'm going to do this fire. I'm going to accidentally do the second fire, which you can hopefully ignore. What I want to do is run a little bit forward to get myself into this group of enemies, then run backwards, forcing Chicken Little to whistle them in, then run forward again around the minute bombs and into the center. And at about that time, the platform is going to do the little bounce that's going to get you started doing the RCs. It bounces at a consistent time, and you need to figure out what that timing is so that you get yourself into the center. And so that Chicken Little doesn't whistle at the wrong time. If he whistles at a bad time when the bounce is beginning, the minute bombs get stuck in the middle of the arena, like in midair. And the only way to knock him out of there is to do a midair thunder. But it's bad news. You don't want that. So I accidentally did that fire. So I just ran backwards because I felt like I didn't have time to run in the middle. So I just ran backwards to make Chicken Little whistle them in. And then you see me run around, get to the center, and boom, the platform bounces. And because I forced Chicken Little to do that whistle, it made him less likely to do another whistle as I ran into the center because all of the minute bombs were around him. When they're all totally around him, or the way Chicken Little works is he whistles in the enemies when they are afar from him. When they're a distance away, that's when he decides to whistle them in. If they're all clumped around him, he's not going to whistle. And that's what I forced to happen by making him whistle once and then running into the center. Timing, hopefully getting my timing right so that he doesn't have time to get another whistle going. And I do this bounce, let myself get to the apex, and press the air slash, and then mash the heck out of it. Right here, I'm going to do a fire in between, because if you try to mash the next one, there's a chance that the hammer frames that are going to bounce up don't actually get hit. So the fire just spaces it out nicely. Cancel it with the RC, and then one more to kill. And again, I am mashing the heck out of these RCs. You need to. If you don't mash them, there's a chance they might fall, or you might fall too low and won't get to do the next one. So mash the RCs. And now we'll move on to window 2. So window 2 is going to start the exact same way. We're going to immediately summon Chicken Little. But instead of walking backwards, we're just not going to move at all. Immediately summon him in. And then we're going to immediately walk to the left to this house right here. This is kind of the magic house. When you're standing there, Chicken Little, most of the time, will whistle in all the enemies that he needs to. So summon Chicken Little, walk right over there. He's going to whistle in these planes. We're going to do 2 fires and a finisher. Then take a quick step backwards in order to force him to whistle them in again. And then do another fire to take them out. Once they die, a wave of hammer frames is immediately going to spawn, and Chicken Little will immediately whistle them in if you are standing on the house like I am. 2 fires. During the second fire, Chicken Little starts to firecracker. We're going to walk down this direction, forcing him to whistle them back in. And then we're going to do another 2 fires. And depending on how fast succession you do your fires, like if you do them in immediate succession, Sora's next move will be an aerial dive. If you do them too slow, his next will be a ground finisher. If he does the ground finisher, that's okay. Just move back, make Chicken Little whistle them in again, and then do another ground combo to kill. In this case, I'm going to get the aerial dive, and that's a little bit faster. Sora will aerial dive them, do a single combo, which will kill all of them here, as you can see. That spawns in the next wave of 4 aeroplanes. They spawn in at random, unfortunately, so I basically try to just run backwards and hope, and get myself into a position that will hopefully cause Chicken Little to whistle in all 4 of them. In this case, I actually get really lucky that not only does Chicken Little whistle them in, but he also does a firecracker. So normally the combo that you'd have to do is 2 fires, ground finisher, and then let Chicken Little whistle them in again, and then do another full ground combo to get rid of all of them. But in this case, I'm able to kill in just the 1 ground combo because I got lucky. That doesn't usually happen. This was very lucky, but see what that looks like. I run back to get them, Chicken Little to whistle them in. 2 fires, finisher. And like I said, doesn't usually kill. Usually I'll have to take a step back, make Chicken Little whistle them in, another ground combo. This will spawn the last enemy, which is a hammer frame. Assuming Chicken Little does no damage, you're going to need to do this combo in a very specific way in order to make sure he dies in 1 combo. And that is slide dash, hit upper slash, and then we're going to do an aerial dive, but we're going to make sure that every single hit of the aerial dive connects. That means we're going to delay our next hit, because you can kind of cancel the previous attack with your next hit. But this time we're going to make sure every hit connects. So it's like this. Aerial dive kind of makes noises where it goes duh. So you got to make sure that last duh hits before you go in and do your next hit, and then the double finisher, which will kill the hammer frame. Very easy to tell if you did it right. You did it right, he dies. You didn't do it right, he just gets knocked away and doesn't die. That's window 2. It's a pretty straightforward one. And we'll move into window 3, which is the notorious fight with the cars. Starting the exact same way as window 2, immediately summoning in Chicken Little without moving. At this point, what we're going to do is once Chicken Little spawns, we're going to run backwards to force him to whistle in all these shadows. But Chicken Little can spawn in a random position, either behind you, in front of you, to the left, or to the right. And based on where he spawns, that's going to determine how far away you have to run to force him to whistle. If he spawns in front of you, you got to run farther compared to if he spawns behind you. Because, again, it's just all about the distance of the enemies, which determines when Chicken Little whistles. In this case, he's going to spawn to the right of me, and I'm going to run backwards. He's going to whistle them in. I'm going to do a fire, a thunder, and an aerial dive, which will kill all the shadows. As you'll see here. Fire, thunder. Chicken Little sometimes does a baseball here. Sometimes he'll attack a fire that's off screen. Sometimes he'll hit a shadow. When he hits the shadow, occasionally he'll get launched out of the way and doesn't die, and you'll have to go run after it, which is annoying, but not the end of the world. In this case, he actually does that, but I still managed to kill him, which is rare. But you're going to see I'm going to do the thunder, aerial dive, which manages to kill that guy. And the next wave spawns. We're going to run forward towards this wave. All the shadows are going to go underground, but what we're focusing on is making sure Chicken Little whistles in the car. When we get close enough that Chicken Little whistles in the car, so I run forward to get the car to run towards me, and then run back to get the enemies, or get Chicken Little to pull in the enemies. I'm going to start doing two fires. And if I'm lucky, Chicken Little will help me out with a firecracker. If not, it doesn't matter. I'll do the same thing. I'll go into an aerial dive here. All the shadows died during that aerial dive. Knock the car away. Force Chicken Little to whistle him back in. And finish him off with a combo. This next wave, doing kind of a similar thing. First, we're going to lock on to one of the cars, either one, whichever you're closer to. Make sure Chicken Little has them immobilized, of course. We're going to do a full combo double finisher, hoping that one of the finishers is going to knock the other car that you're not attacking. It doesn't happen in this first case, but it's not a big deal. Double finisher. I unlock from this guy and switch on to this guy and do the same thing, full combo double finisher. And then I'm trying to get myself into the position that Chicken Little will whistle them both back in, which takes a second, but he finally does. And then I come in with a slide dash, thunder, to knock the enemy in the air. And you can also do an upper slash, but I do the thunder because in this case it's going to knock both of them into the air, just get a little extra damage on the guy I'm not targeting. And then go into the aerial dive full combo and finish him off here. Chicken Little helpfully whistles in this next guy, and I'm able to do the same thing to knock him in the air and kill him. You're kind of alternating back and forth between the two enemies. Your goal is do damage to both, but don't put them to the health that they're going to do their DM attack, because that's obviously really annoying and dangerous. But if that happens, you can just guard it and then do the counter guard attack, or Chicken Little will baseball them, or hopefully something will knock them out of it. But that's window 3 in a nutshell. Probably the hardest window. It takes some practice learning how to deal with the cars, but hopefully this will put you on the right path. Now with window 4, the only window that does not use Chicken Little, because we want to make sure we have all our drive in order to go into Valor form after this window. We're going to start this off by simply running forward at these 3 rapid thrusters that are immediately there. And basically, what I'm trying to do is do an aerial dive air combo that will hopefully take out all of them. Usually I get 2, and then I'll have to go chase after the other one. Maybe Donald will help me out. We'll see. This is kind of the window where I have, I'd say, the least plan coming in. Like, there's a general thought on what to do, but at the end of the day, you know, it's just take out the enemies to the best of your ability. Maybe you'll find a better strat than what I have. But yeah, aerial dive, air combo. I take out 2 of them. Now go after this last guy. That'll spawn in 2 rapid thrusters, 1 in front, 1 behind the black hole, and then 2 shadows. I try to target the shadows because I don't want them to go underground. Do a slide dash to get forward to him, and then a fire to hopefully hit the other enemies. And then I went into that aerial dive there because all these enemies are dying really quickly. Once you take out all 4, the final wave will spawn. I haven't taken out all 4 yet. There's still this shadow left, but now I take them out. And I'm going to immediately go into Trinity, use the major drive, which is the triangle push, and I'm going to use it into the wall. The reason I do this is because I don't actually want it to do a lot of hits. When it does a lot of hits, the bar goes down for a little bit, and then the finisher Trinity Limit connects. But with these rapid thrusters, they have such little health that the finisher on its own is actually enough to kill them. So I'm just trying to avoid hitting them with the Trinity Limit. I happen to be right next to the wall, so I'm able to immediately use it into the wall. But if you're in the center of the arena, honestly, it takes just as much time to run to the wall and use it as it does to just start it immediately and hit as few of them as possible. So once that you know this last wave is spawned, just immediately go into it wherever you are, is my suggestion. But instantly into the finisher. Bam. Fight is done. And as I was mentioning with our Disney Castle trip, I hit level 14, which is a strength increase, which is very important for the next 2 fights. But that's the window segment. So now we're going to go into Boat Pete, immediately going into Valor form for some movement and extra damage. Going to start off just responding to Pete's reaction commands. Lock onto him, mash triangle, nothing too complex here. Go up to the wall, or go up to the edge, just so they get to you quicker. Then we run on over. I like to pick up this Mithril Shard. I think it's a Mithril Shard. Mithril Stone, my bad. Whatever, doesn't matter. Because you need to have at least one synth item in order to pick up an elixir later. So it doesn't have to be this one, but by the end of the run, you got to make sure you have one synth item. A lot of times it happens just by RNG, but I pick up this one just to be sure. Then we're going to run over to the hook, hop onto it. I like to hop and then press triangle. I think it's a little quicker. And then we're going to start doing combos on this thing. You can actually start your hit quick enough that your first hit whiffs. I like to start early enough that the first one connects, and then I finish my combo. In this first phase, if you do your hit timing properly, you can get 2 full combos no matter what. Only in this first phase, though. So in this first phase, I just combo, bum, bum. This next one, though, this is where I start pause buffering. The RC can come up at any moment. And if it comes up like the moment you start doing your finisher, you're not going to have enough time to grab it. And that's why this fight can be kind of notorious. Because if you just happen to get bad luck like that, you'll get thrown off. So that's why we do pause buffering there, so that we have a moment to see if it's popped up. And if it hasn't, then we'll continue with the finisher. But if it has, then we won't do it, and we'll mash triangle. This thing takes, I think it's 5 combos. 5 full combos and 1 hit to die. So basically what you'll see me do here, so that's my second full combo. I get a third combo here, and then I get 1 more hit in. I just do that because I have time. You don't have to do that. You don't have to follow any exact pattern aside from just know that it takes 5 combos plus 1 hit to kill. So because I did this 1 extra hit, I know when I come back in after the RC that it will die in 2 full combos. Something to note, so I said in the first phase you can get in 2 full combos guaranteed if you are doing your first hit timing properly. That's not the case the next time the boat brings you back in. You can get 1 guaranteed, but the second one is not guaranteed. So start pause. I know I can do it because I know he's going to die in 2 combos, but if you don't know he's going to die in 2 combos, start your pause buffering during your second combo, if that hopefully makes sense. But I know he's gonna die here, so no need. And like I was mentioning earlier, during the past Pete fight about the Valor level up, because I had that level up, I have a little bit of extra drive left, which lets me run to the next fight a little bit faster. Just a nice little bit of time save, but not a huge deal if you don't got it. If you do have it, I would advise reverting from Valor form before you get into the next fight, as you see me do here, just so I think having that little bit of Valor form and kind of an inconsistent amount can get you into some trouble if you try to use it at the beginning of Final Pete, so I would just kind of recommend not worrying about that at all and just going into the fight as normal Sora. So Final Pete is actually a pretty difficult fight. I'm going to show you the strat that I do currently in runs, which is a little advanced, but I think is reasonable. I think is doable. So at the start of every phase, Pete can do one of two things. He can either use his bowling ball or he can run at you. And pretty much 100% of the time, running at you is better. It's also the easiest one to deal with. So referring just to the first phase now, if he runs at you, you just do a full ground combo. Or your comboing is the exact same, it's just the timing that differs. And revenge value can get a little bit funky because of the bowling ball and because of your party members' attacks. If your party members attack simultaneous to you, the amount of revenge value that your hit does increases. I don't know why that is, it's just a fact, so that's why revenge value can get a little bit inconsistent sometimes, and it does rear its head in this fight a little bit. But anyways, that aside, moving on. I start this fight by taking a small step to the right immediately. If he was to start charging at me, I would just press X and attack him. He's immediately vulnerable. But since he's bowling balling, I wait for a second. I then take a small step to the right again and then start a slide dash so that I parry the bowling ball back into him and stagger him with it. That'll take a little bit of timing practice, but it's a decently generous window. Just see him spawn it and then attack. So I did that slide dash hit combo. I'm going to run over to him. I'm going to do one air hit, and then I'm going to do another air hit combo with a single finisher. And hopefully, after this single finisher, he's going to retaliate and do his little punch attack. Sometimes he doesn't if revenge value gets weird, and you might have to do another hit to force him to do it, just like jump and tap him or whatever. But he's going to do it. He's going to get all angry and get ready to pound the ground. And during this time he's punching, if I attack, I'll parry him. But with good timing, you can start hitting him and get in a full combo double finisher. And hitting this full combo double finisher will push his health gate for this phase and cancel him from doing this attack and let you move to the next phase. So gonna take some timing practice to figure out when it is that you can start attacking. But let me just show you this in real time. 1, 2, 3, wait for him to start attacking, and now I can go in double finisher. That time the single finisher pushed him, but you do the double finisher to be safe in case it doesn't. And he bends down, and we get to the next phase. Next phase is super easy. We're just going to immediately go into Trinity Limit and press square. With all the fires, you can just press square again to finish him off. Does a lot of hits. It'll push his health. For this next phase, we're going to start by immediately running forward. Like I mentioned before, again, he can either bowling ball or run at you. If he runs at you, just attack him, knock him out of it. But if he's bowling balling... Okay, so right there, he just ran at me, so I was ready to just attack him. But if he's bowling balling, I wait for him to let it out, then I attack so that I parry the bowling ball into him. Full ground combo. Now I take a step back. I wait for a little bit. Because, again, as I was saying, revenge value gets really funky. And while you're waiting, the revenge value starts to go down. So by doing this, I'm making sure that I can do another full ground combo with a finisher, and he's not going to retaliate in the middle. So I'm essentially intentionally slowing down my comboing to make sure I don't get hit. So I take quite a while there. And whether he charges you or bowling balls you, do the same thing. Run backwards. I do that finisher. That's going to cause him to retaliate with the punch in the same way, and I'm going to handle it the exact same way I did with phase 1. Wait for him, and then go in with the air combo double finisher to push there. If he retaliates during this attack, it sucks. He'll probably hit you out. What you'll probably want to do is just wait for him to finish his attack, then jump over the shockwave, stagger him with an air combo, which will hopefully push him, and then just be ready to throw a potion. You get two-shot by everything here, so be very aware if you get hit to potion, And another thing, you only have one potion at this point if you're doing the menuing how I was suggesting. So if you get hit, you can only get hit twice, basically, is what I'm saying. So it's a dangerous fight. That's crit for you. Things are going to be dangerous. That's kind of the name of the game. Anyways, that aside, this next phase is also basically identical to the previous ones, except this time his RV is even more finicky, and you almost never are able to get 2 full ground combos off. But also dealing with this one is a little bit different. What we're going to do for this, so in the previous one, we just immediately ran forward. In this one, we're going to take a couple steps forward and then see what he does. If he charges at you, you're going to immediately attack him. If he starts the bowling ball, you're going to wait. So I guess in that sense, it's kind of the same thing as we've always done. If he's running at you, attack immediately. If he's bowling balling, wait until he bowling balls. This time, we just start closer to him. So I take a few steps forward, and then I see he's bowling balling. And then when it comes out, I slide dash. Don't do any movement. If I just stay straight, when you knock him, he's going to go right in between these 2 cannons, which can hit him out of his combo, out of your combo, which sucks. By just taking those steps forward and then just attacking with no other movement to the side, this should send him in the right direction. So that's key. And then I come to the side, so I position myself so that my next combos aren't going to hit him towards these cannon towers. And in this one, because again, as I mentioned, the RV is even more funky, he's going to parry me during my next attack. He's either going to parry you like that, or he's going to let you do the finisher, and either one is okay. If he lets you do the finisher, you're going to handle it the same way you handled phases 1 and 3. Wait for him to retaliate and do your double finisher. But in this case, he retaliated early. I parried him. I'm going to do a counter guard, and then a ground combo. And now I'm going to do a slide dash and an upper slash, and that's going to be enough to push his health barrier. See right there? That little bit of damage was enough to push him to the final phase, which we will now get to. This one's probably the hardest phase of the 5. 5? Yeah, there's 5. This is probably the hardest one just because the RV is extra finicky and you got the towers to deal with. But for this last part, we're going to immediately run forward and a little bit to the left. So kind of a little bit at 11 o'clock because this is the one that's on the scaffolding and you got this rope right in the way. So I guess I'm more running at like 10, 11 o'clock to get out of the way to the scaffolding, but I'm going to head towards Pete because what I want to do is be able to get in a slide dash and a single hit and then run away from him. By doing this, that's going to give me enough damage that when he knocks the ground and knocks us into the air, he'll die in 2 reaction commands. Hit, hit, run away. Reaction command. Reaction command. Dead. If you don't do those hits, it'll just take 3. If you're struggling with it, that's not a big deal. You can just let yourself kill him in 3 reaction commands. No problem. But that's what you would do in order to skip one of them. It's pretty precise, pretty tight. See, I come in, do the 2 hits, run away so I don't get smacked by him. But yeah, do the 2 RCs to kill. And that is Timeless River. Timeless River is a deceivingly difficult world. It seems pretty dang straightforward, but so much can go wrong so easily. So this is definitely one you're going to need to spend a lot of time practicing. But honestly, I also kind of enjoy it. It's a fun one to me, even when it's frustrating. But I hope this video helped and gives you some pointers, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.